freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 305 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, your nationwide hometown gun shop. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is Kiwanis Club for Safe Kids. And we have two special guests today, Gina Roberts and Derek LeBlanc. Gina Roberts is a competitive shooter, is one of the California delegates to the DC project, serves as the President
Emeritas
of the San Diego Log Cabin Republicans, as well as the President of the Escondido Republican Women Federated. That's it. Gina is one of the faces chosen to grace the 2019 Time magazine cover dedicated to discussing guns in America, and Gina is also the president of the Kiwanis Club of Southern California for Safe Kids. Derek LeBlanc is a founder and president of Kids S.A.F.E Foundation, the 501c3 nonprofit organization based out of Eugene, Oregon. Kids S.A.F.E has the goal to educate children and families on firearm safety and accident prevention. Zero firearm accidents is the only acceptable goal.
Absolutely. Welcome both of you to the show.
Thank you for having us.
This is so exciting and it's so neat. I always love it when my friends are friends of each other. And then when I see that my friends are not only friends, but they are networking and building things into the future together, it is just phenomenal. And so let's just kind of start with Derek and talk to us about Kid S.A.F.E. And that's an acronym. At least it's spelled out that way, you know, an S period, A period, F period, E period. And where did this work come from? What exactly are you doing besides having this amazing goal of zero firearms accidents is the only acceptable goal?
So that's a great question. So I'm Derek LeBlanc, president of the Kids S.A.F.E Foundation, and so we're a nonprofit, as you discussed earlier. And so the acronym actually stands for Safety Around Firearms Education. And so everything we do is about, you know, firearm safety, accident prevention. We also teach kids how to shoot rimfire rifles. So everything's about, you know, protecting our youth going into the future.
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome, and it's quite different than the other organizations you hear about, child safety. Safety programs that
every town for gun safety.
Right,
they don't teach any safety.
They just want to take all the guns away, and the fact is that, you know, your kids may come in contact with a gun at one time or another, and if they're properly trained, you're in much better condition, right?
Yeah, and that's our goal, is be able to have this adult conversation with children and show families the importance of safety inside the home, and also, you know, protect the kids through proper education. You know, our kids, you know, they might come in contact, you know, depending in an urban environment, a gun could be used in the commission of a crime. And so if our kids don't know these life-saving skills, that's how they can get hurt. You know, and the kids go over for a play date, there also could be exposure there. So education is really, really important to their safety.
So what do you do to make that happen, Derek?
So we do a couple of different things. So we have some educational classes that are typically held inside of a Bass Pro Shop or a Cabela's. And so we're almost done with the trademark process, hopefully about another month or so, and then we'll be able to roll out across the country. And so the goal, with the help of Kiwanis Club is to be able to increase our reach, increase the number of children that we reach effectively, and to save their lives. And so in our Kids Firearm Safety 1 class, which I do most often, I'm handling guns, I'm, answering any kind of questions they might have. And I'm also giving them good relevant facts. You'd be surprised how many kids are getting the information from, social media, YouTube, video games. And I see so many 7-year-olds that are experts on the AR-15 because they think it's an M16 because of Call of Duty. And so that, that's what we're doing is we're giving them good information that's going to, this is not a fully auto. This is an AR-15. It serves a purpose. And so that's how we're making progress there.
Absolutely. That is awesome. Now, Gina, fortune favors not only the prepared, but the involved. And you are, and the busy. Yes. And you dedicate a huge portion of your time to teaching firearm safety to adults. And you recently recognized a way to help Derek in his efforts to empower kids with safety education. So talk to us about how that Kiwanis piece intersects then with what Derek's doing.
Okay, well, kind of a convoluted story, but it works out really well. When I was actually down in Arizona with you guys for Gun Policy Right Conference, Derek invited me to come out and see his class in Glendale at the Cabela's there. And I was watching that going, wow, this is exactly what we need to see happen. And so, I know he had a lot of plans going on and he had a lot of things going on. He's, been working for a while, and we talked a little bit about how I could help him and how, what things we could do to make this message, go farther and wider. And I was also struck with the fact that we as a population, not just gun owners, not just everything, we tend to politicize this whole gun safety issue. And so we end up with, we've got the NRA doing one thing, we've got the NSSF doing one thing, we've got every town for gun safety, whatever, they've all got their own program. They all have their label on it. We all hate the other programs. It's kind of like, the old story about, the chemistry test where the kid made the assumption of everybody's going to hell because every religion tells you you're going to hell if you're not part of their religion. Well, it's part of that same problem. And Kiwanis provides a tremendously unique opportunity of a non-political, non-partisan, not attached to any advocacy organization. So it allows us to reach out, not, we want to take care of kids. We lose X number of kids a year to accidents. And Kiwanis has got a huge program on pediatric trauma prevention. They talk about gun safety, they talk about bicycle safety, swimming safety, household chemistry or chemical safety. But there's this big hole, and it mostly in California, Nevada, Hawaii, which is our district. But there are programs on different districts that do cover gun safety, but it's not a unified program. It's not a here is a great, safe, proven, effective way of communicating this message in a way that doesn't alienate anybody. And so the one thing that we all should be able to get behind is we want to keep kids safe. And and it's his program is so multifaceted. It's about, we're not only, okay, so if you see a gun, don't play with it, run away from it, get an adult, like some of the other messages. But he's also got anti-bullying messaging. He's also got, gun safety message in terms of talking to the parents about keeping guns away from kids. Trying to teach kids, if they see a gun laying on the street after whatever reason, because there's a lot of inner city kids that find guns that nobody's had, a legal opportunity to give them. And, and so dispelling the whole concept of what they learn, like Derek said, on, Call of Duty, we don't teach kids how to be safe around guns. We teach kids how to slaughter and kill with guns. And so that's that video game component. So it's a really all encompassing. Let's break down this barrier and let's work on just what's important, and that's keeping kids safe. And I want to do anything I can to help my organization. And I'm very involved in Kiwanis. I'm actually Lieutenant Governor of the Northern San Diego County division right now. T-minus 4 minutes and 4 months in counting, and I'll be done with that. But it's a lot of work, a lot of fun. But this is kind of my follow-on opportunity in Kiwanis, is to turn this thought, this dream into a reality, and help Derek bring his bring his whole life into reality. Tell him about what you told me about your slogan and how you came up with that, Derek.
So our slogan is, I get some kind of pushback because people don't necessarily understand zero firearm accidents is the only acceptable goal. And I always tell them, well, zero firearm negligence wasn't as catchy, you know what I mean? And so when we're talking about, a 4-year-old, we look at data, we lose about 8 to 9 kids per day across the country to an unsecured firearm. And, higher rates in urban environments. Lower socioeconomics helps drive that as well, because there's no access to, training or education or proper storage. And so, it was one day I was in Utah for training, and I was on the road. I was traveling from Salt Lake City to Park City for, just to kind of sightsee. And there was a road sign. And as I was driving up the interstate there, and it said, "Zero drunk driving fatality is the only acceptable goal." And that just it was the Lord speaking to me. He's like, man, that's really powerful. And it was from that moment that I kind of changed the verbiage, and I coined the term zero firearm accidents, the only acceptable goal. And some people don't necessarily understand that, but I always tell people that until I get to zero, I'm going to keep working, right? And so until I get to zero, there's still going to be a job for me, and I'm still going to be pushing forward with this important message. And I modeled this program of ours very similar to water safety. And the reason I do that is we teach every kid in the country how to swim, because we don't want them to drown. And that's the same principle behind our firearm safety program. The goal with Kiwanis is to be able to translate our information into different languages like Spanish, Japanese, Mandarin. I was speaking with a friend the other day, and Arabic and Somali is another dialect that we need to get into, because there's a huge percentage of kids out there with, an American sign language as well, but there's a huge population out there with zero accident prevention for their children. And so we have to be able to reach across, different ethnic groups to reach them to help protect our kids. And in turn, that's going to help protect our rights, because we are proving that when we do have a gun safety program, it's something that's been developed from the ground up, and it is working. We've reached about 21,000 kids so far in 4 states. And so we're gonna reach 1 million or 10 million with the help of Kiwanis and other, Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we're at. We're very progressive with the thought process, because we want to be all encompassing when it comes to the safety of the kids.
Nice.
So
both of you guys mentioned swimming, okay? And so there's a myth around that parents think, if I don't have a pool, then my kids can't drown, right? They can't, because we don't have a pool. But they don't think about them going next door.
Yeah.
They don't think about going to a canal or a park or a lake,
a river.
And that's where the myth has got to stop, that just because you don't own firearms doesn't mean, why not teach your kid? I mean, when I was 5 years old, if I found a firearm, I better know how to take it apart and put it back together again. That's the way it was.
Yes.
I mean, my family was very pro-gun, and we had to know everything. I knew more about guns when I was that age than I knew about the knives in the drawer. And so if we teach our kids that, then we can get to that zero compliance like you talked about, right? No injuries, because they know. If we don't teach them that, we lose. People are curious. Kids are curious. They're going to see, I saw that on TV. I wonder if it does this. So thank you for what you guys do. And please let's help make parents aware of what they're dealing with.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, one, like through all my research, the most interesting fact that I see when we're talking about pool safety is it doesn't necessarily have to be, a necessary pool. There's a lot of kids, especially in Texas, that are about 18 months old or 2 years that actually drown in 5-gallon buckets, believe it or not. And so, because their hands are kind of stuck behind their, so it's pretty graphic, but it happens. And so we have to prepare our children. They are the future, and they're also the future of the Republic. And so that's why we have to, get them at a young age and show them safety, discipline, and respect when it comes to our firearms.
Well, for sure. My goodness. So, just going back to Miss Gina for a minute, you're in California, and the kinds of groups that you're involved in. I mean, you are, involved in Republican clubs and that sort of thing, but you also occupy a unique space in that you are a trans woman. And you are in California, where there's, a lot of people that tend to be, and I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to prescribe it. I'm going to ask you, are there a lot of people who tend to be anti-rights, anti-gun, or is it just these pockets of concentrated uh, groups of people that are in that mindset? Um, you're such a bridge builder in so many areas, and in that space particularly. So to kind of tell us, a little bit about that, because people that are like watching or listening, and they're thinking either like here in Arizona, oh, well, we're in Arizona, so we're totally safe. Our gun rights are all good,
I have populations from California now.
and now half the population is, yes, exactly. We thought we were getting a new legislative district because of all the people moving in. And it wasn't going to be a conservative district. It was going to be a liberal district. And so people that think that, oh, we're all good just because we live in a safe state, or people that are in California who throw their hands up and go, well, we're never going to get this kid safe stuff in our schools. We're never going to have our gun rights because, it's the state I live in. And you are living proof that, you don't have to just, throw your hands up in any area of your life, right?
Right. Well, I do have fun. I have to put it that way. I tend, in fact, for this Kiwanis group, I've actually already reached across the aisle, for lack of a better word, and approached the other side and said, hey, let's put up or shut up. Are you all about safety? This is something we should be able to agree on. And I've actually been working on that initiative in different forms for the last 3 or 4 years. And I actually participated in some conflict resolution workshops where we tried to take the liberal approach for, how to work together. And I worked with, Braver Angels and a couple other bring people together groups. Well, I'm all about give people a goal, give them an opportunity, and then ask for their participation. California is as bad as you hear. Basically all the blue districts are essentially anti-gun. We have the problem in California where, if the gun owners actually voted, we'd probably do pretty well. But getting people to vote for their rights or getting them out to vote is a problem. But that is irrespective of what we're trying to do here too. What we're trying to do here is actually build something we can all focus on and build those bridges and maybe DC Project. It's about let's educate over legislate. I keep saying to people is we've got plenty of rules. If we educate people about what rules exist, how we can enforce them, how we can, keep actually sentence people to jail for breaking the law. things like that that will actually make a difference in recidivism and crime. If but blaming it on a tool isn't the case. The trick is to get people to understand that tool can be completely safe if people have the right education around it. And so I'm excited about this whole thing. It's kind of a culmination of a lot of things I've been working on for years. And and if I can help create an organization to support Derek without even getting close to affecting his integrity of the wonderfulness of his program, but just giving him a vehicle to get it out in the world, my life will be better.
Just that much better. Absolutely.
Well, Gina, I met you, I'm going to guess about 5-6 years ago, and I have seen nothing but growth with you. You have done so much for this community, and I really thank you for that.
Yeah.
So thank you. And Derek, I ask you, so what does the S.A.F.E kids, how do you help the parents understand what's happening with it?
What their responsibilities are.
Yeah, so it's a two-pronged approach. So basically in our classes, everything is about the family, right? So we're engaging with the kids on certain parts that are important. We're also engaging with parents on certain parts. And the whole point is we're hoping that the light bulb goes on for the children on what not to do if they ever come across an unsecure firearm. But we also want to talk about to the parents how to properly store their firearms when they're not on their person. We don't need new legislation, right? We just need we need to focus our education and our outreach efforts towards making sure those parents are dotting all the I's and crossing the T's, because ultimately we can do that. We can say, hey, we have a solution here that works, and we don't need to fund it by raising fees or in overreaching and taking away people's rights. And so that's what we're doing. It's all about personal responsibility inside the home. We don't need the government to do it. We're a private organization that can do it. And so, going into the next generation is we want to be able to teach those kids to do the same thing. And they're the future leaders. And so if we can get to them at a young age and teach them, about, independent thinking and, about our rights and about how, these rights have great responsibilities, then it's going to be a victory for all of us. And that's why I'm really thankful to have Gina. Gina has done great work on all of our behalfs as an advocate, and so this will work out just the way we need it because of her belief in what we're trying to accomplish. And I love being here with you guys because I really support what you guys do, and I'm really thankful for the opportunity.
Well, thank you. And Derek, teaching parents how to be responsible gun owners and the parents teaching their kids how to be responsible gun owners doesn't stop with just, okay, my 5-year-old kid knows not to touch a gun, so I can leave my 41 Magnum on the kitchen counter.
Nope.
Well, you got to think deeper than that. You have to be responsible and think, well, what if my 5-year-old brings a 6-year-old kid over to my house? So you have to think about all, there's a lot of responsibility in owning a firearm. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Yep. But if you take the baby steps and go through the process and you go through the Child Safe program and all that, you start learning, okay, situations on what you should and shouldn't do. But that's the biggest fear. And if you look at statistics, it seems like it's a friend of somebody's at a house that has guns where a problem happens. Well, we were taught how to handle guns at an early age, as I said before, but the friends that I brought over,
maybe not.
What
were you going to say, Derek? I saw you gesture.
Yeah, so that's one of the most important thing about what we're doing is we have to understand how kids learn. Kids, with online teaching right now because of COVID, our kids are learning in a different way, and we're engaging with the kids is so much more important. We have to realize that sometimes kids don't necessarily read the best through books. I know there's a lot of books that are available for kids, but sometimes it's that interaction as an instructor that's going to help pique their interest, help get them involved. And it's also going to reinforce the important safety skills that we teach. And we're talking about parents, our parents that come to the classes, they might be really responsible, but we don't know about other parents. And so that's why we advocate, let's have a conversation with those parents and ask them, do you have any unsecured firearms in the home? And I say it that way because I don't want them to say, do you have guns? Because, you know, I
Mhm.
could get a kind of a negative interaction. So it's all about the way you word it, but you want to have a conversation with those parents. Because I've heard of kids that have gone over for a play date. They find a revolver in the couch cushion,
Come
or they
on.
find a rifle behind a door that's used for varmint control. You know, so
Mhm.
it's just having a conversation about our guns. And,
Yeah.
you know, one thing that's really, really important to realize, and I don't know that the other side understands that, is our guns aren't going anywhere. There's
Yeah.
425 million estimated guns, and there's over 100 million gun owners in this country. And so they are here. They are not going anywhere. So we have to learn how to coexist. And, you know, we coexist by, you know, teaching proper education.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So Gina, you know, the whole idea of, and you touched on this earlier in your teal, you've got your teal for 2A on, uh, that the DC project, Women for Gun Rights, we're trying to be, I'm one of the DC project state leaders here in Arizona. We are trying to help our legislators through forming relationships to understand the idea of education being the key to building safer households, neighborhoods, cities, states, and a nation. So education, not legislation. And you and a small contingent of our DC project ladies were in our nation's capital recently, um, making those points to several legislators. Can you talk to us just kind of quickly about how those meetings went, and if there were any aha looks on any of the legislators' faces as we were sharing our stories?
Oh, it was truly amazing. We had lots of meetings, but two fundamentally cool ones. One was with basically the staffers of the Republican members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and out of that, Nikki Gozier just presented last week to the Senate Judiciary Committee about red flag laws, and so that came directly out of that meeting. The second really, really cool meeting is we were the first time that, first of all, the first time this session that the Second Amendment Caucus has met, and it was the first public meeting where most of those Congress people had ever actually received people from the outside, you know, and
Because it's all fenced off and COVID and all of that.
yeah, well, it had to take place off-site. It was actually in an off-site restaurant, um, but we had like 28 Congress people show up, and
Wow.
Wow.
it was. I got to, actually, I've met Lauren Boebert a couple times, but she's actually stepped up with Tom Massey to co-lead that Second Amendment caucus. As Tom Massey says, she does 90% of the work and I get half the credit. Yay. And Tom Massey is kind of a character to begin with, but
Yes,
it
I
was
love
just a
him.
super good meeting. I got to meet Doug Malufa. He's at the 100% opposite end of California. He's right up on the Oregon border, and got him on board. He's going to help me find some delegates up there for the California project. My California project has not made the progress that you have because basically our legislature is just completely closed. There
Mm,
is no access. They're
mm.
now saying you can get online and talk, but the chances that you'll actually get to the public speaking portion is like zero.
Is that
Um,
because of COVID?
yeah, and so anyways, they'll hopefully open that up next year. But this meeting in DC was absolutely amazing. We had 12 ladies there, and giving our stories. I was there as a representative of the LGBT representative of the group and from California. And basically my message is that the gun community and the conservative community has been way more accepting of me as a trans individual than as the LGBT and liberal community has been of me being conservative. And
Mm.
so it opened a lot of doors. Got to meet some. Jim Jordan came in. He spent time talking to us. Steve Solis spent time talking to us. It was, in a word, cool.
It's amazing to me that 28 people, 28 Congress people came and met with them during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
in California, you can't talk to one
Mm.
unless
Yeah.
it's by internet.
I mean, I can talk to my
Fantastic.
local people, but it's all their representative. We can't actually testify at meetings or anything like that. We send lots of obscene letters and things, but saying you guys are being dumb. But I mean, pretty much, we as a gun community in these hyper liberal areas need to take exactly the issue that we're doing with Derek. We need to start taking back the local district, teaching people early,
Mm-hmm.
to basically reverse the trend that our education system and things have done to flip it the other direction. And
Yes.
we have been complacent for way too long.
Yes.
But even in a non-political point of view, this just safety point of view
Yes.
is non-political, and it has been dropped like a rock because of political correctness.
Mm-hmm.
Why I was taught gun safety when I was in elementary school. I mean, it wasn't deep, but it was like, hey, you see these things, leave them alone. That at least some knowledge.
Something.
Now
Yeah, take the
we throw,
mystery out of it. Mm.
yeah, well, and the curiosity to some sense, and
Mm-hmm.
but now we train them to do all sorts of weird things on video games. It's
Yeah.
we need to be the proactive people to turn that around. And I think this is teaching Derek's program and getting it out in the world. I think we have a winner way to do that.
I love
Yeah,
it.
we're teaching kids with video games how to shoot something and they'll get up and walk again.
Mm.
And believe it or not, there are kids that think that a firearm is the same way.
Mm.
Yep.
That you could shoot somebody, but they'll just get up again
Mm.
and you'll play again because of the games that they're the video
Uh,
games.
it's,
We
uh,
I am not against video games, guys. I'm telling you. I
But you're
think
we
for
the
pro
parents,
parenting.
parents
we
have that
we talk about this in every class, because that's part of our we have an online safety and an anti-bullying component, and part of that's about video games, because it's desensitizing our kids to violence. It's morphing their behaviors, and there's scientific studies that will support that. And so that's kind of our push. Is and one thing is I don't want to get too crazy about it, but it's like everybody talks about my Glock 19 and they want to regulate that. And we're not talking about violent media for kids. We're also not talking about Nerf guns, how they're being basically our youth are being weaponized and militarized, and there's nothing that's being said about that. And I mean, that stuff should be age appropriate as well.
Mm.
So it's not my Glock's fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's a breakdown in society that we have to somehow correct.
Absolutely. And it is the fault of I'm not sure what generation to start blaming, but I put it a lot on myself, on the generation that I grew up in, because my grandpa's generation understood what this document was about, understood. There we go. We got the same constitution.
Yep,
Gina,
I
where's
read
yours?
it.
Mine's on my nightstand, so I
Oh,
have it. I
Yes.
just have it.
perfect. So my grandparents' generation understood that people fought, bled, starved, and died to have the opportunity to put quill to parchment, to write our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, and that it was a precious inheritance to be preserved for the next generation. My dad's generation understood that. I personally understand that. But then my daughter's generation, the millennials, God bless their little hearts, I think my generation must have dropped the ball. And so now, instead of people understanding that this inheritance is non-political, doesn't belong to any party, it is for everyone. Um, Instead of us understanding that, we've allowed it to be politicized. The Second Amendment specifically, particularly, has become a political football. And so then trying to have these conversations, Derek trying to go into classrooms, becomes much more difficult, because now there's this cloud of politics around it. Instead of people just realizing that it's just good teaching, it's just empowering people with knowledge. But then we also do have to be able to engage the political world, because Derek, you, if I'm not stating this incorrectly, did you write a bill
Yeah.
and get it
Yeah.
passed? So you have
So
to be able to engage in that area. So talk to us about that.
so part of the process of my journey is understanding how the process works, right? And so in 2019, I was approached by a local politician, that basically the way he ran against an incumbent, and they ran a really good campaign. The incumbent really liked the way he handled himself politically, and so he offered to tee up a bill for him. And so what he did is he said, well, he knew what I was doing. He said, would you write a bill? And I thought about it for a couple of weeks, and I hemmed and hawed around, and I finally sat down one Sunday morning at a coffee shop on my iPad, and I wrote this Senate Bill 801. And the day that I got that bill, or got it done there in the coffee shop, there was a kid that died about 20 minutes from my home,
Oh
and it's like,
gosh.
so there was a higher power telling me to do this important work. And so, I presented the bill to him. It went to LC, which is the Legislative Council for the state of Oregon. They changed literally 2 words in my original draft, which is huge.
Wow.
And then I had an LC. I had an LC 3554, which is a legislative concept. And from that, I went up to Salem. I started shopping it around. I got chief sponsors, co-sponsors, both sides of the aisle, because it was nonpartisan. It was about safety, and it was simple. It was a one-page bill. We don't need 100 pages. We don't need 5,000 pages. It was one bill because it was written by somebody that's an expert on his subject matter, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kid safety. And then once we actually got a public hearing. So in Oregon that year, there was 37 anti-gun bills, and then there was mine. And there was only 2 bills that got a public hearing that year. There was one that was a monstrosity of a bill, and then there was ours. And we made so much progress, and we learned, and we opened up a national dialogue for the safety of our kids, and it made national news. It was amazing. And I'm hoping to, maybe with a short session, maybe go back next year and try again. But we'll see. Well, obviously, we got to continue to just make forward progress.
That's
And,
phenomenal.
and I'd love to take that bill to California too.
Yeah.
And say what the bill is again specifically.
Senate Bill 801. So what it would have done is it would have authorized our program in all the first grade for all of Oregon's public schools. And so it would have had very little impact on state finances. It would have been, a teacher or law enforcement or a first responder teaching our program either once per semester or once per trimester, to the kids for about a half hour. And we would have saved so many lives just from, day one.
How do you say no to that?
Yeah.
Who could say no to that? That would just make me so angry.
Well, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, and you can see that the agenda is at work, and that's total disarmament.
But total
And
disarmament's not going to solve anything.
exactly,
keep kids safe.
Exactly. And so, that's where we made the progress, is because we had the committees that we were testifying in front of. They actually turned on the other side and said, "Hey, this really makes sense." I had one of the committee members that, as from Roseburg, he said that my son was actually in someone's home and they found a gun, and he goes, "This right here." I mean, I'm in my suit and I'm testifying. I'm like, this right here is the reason we're trying to do this.
Yes.
And so I don't know how much easier I can make it for them. Really.
Wow. Well, I'm
What kind
hoping
of-
you're going to inspire
Yeah.
other people in other states to do that. I mean, you're not an expert in writing bills, but
Nope.
you're a subject matter expert in this. And so
Yeah.
you sat down on a Sunday morning
Mhm.
and coffee shop, and you're just like, I don't know, I'm just going to start. I'm just going to start writing.
Yep.
And it came together. And there's so many people out there that have that ability, and they just don't realize how powerful they are and their voice is. And I'm hoping so much that this conversation is going to inspire many coffee house writing sessions for
That's
similar efforts.
that's
Yeah,
the only thing I can do to express this, is how important this is we're all active, we're all involved, and we're all passionate, and all we have to do is turn that passion into action. and
Absolutely.
and we can do that, and just put pen to paper and do what our founding fathers did, right? all I did was follow in their footsteps, and we can do this. We really can. That's how we take, I called it reverse incrementalism, because they're always taking.
Yes.
So I want to take a little bit back, and that's why, I'm not necessarily a big fan of compromise, because, it's never going to be enough. We
Right.
could give them the house, they're going to want the lawn. And
Yeah.
so, we have to make a stand and say, hey, we have things that can do, and let's do them.
You tell a
Beautiful.
parent that their kid was wounded or killed with a firearm by an accident. Tell that parent that we don't need school safety for firearms. How would they feel about that? How could you deny that? That it just makes me just super angry. I'd love to talk to somebody about why we don't need that.
Yeah. And that's part of the conversation we want to be having. And if you have any question why I love this man, you just got it answered.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You could eliminate every single gun on this earth, and another one will be made tomorrow. You can't eliminate guns.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
If you do,
and what?
Go ahead.
Sorry. One thing that we can't do is we can't legislate morality, and we can't legislate intent and criminal intent, and so that's what's being missed on all of this is we're looking at a tool as opposed to the behavior that causes this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is where we're missing the mark.
Absolutely.
Everything is about that. The red flag laws, everything. We're taking a person and we're taking his tools away, but he's a violent person. We're not doing anything to him, but we're taking all of his tools away.
Not doing anything
what
to
he's
help
got,
him.
He's just
Yeah.
going to get a tool from somewhere else. He
Right.
can get a car. He can get a tree limb, sharpen it, whatever. They can. You're not going to. If you want to stop it, you got to stop him, not the tool.
Right. And starting with early education, it can only be good. It can only help. So we are about to wrap up. Thank you both so much for spending this time with us and for all that you do. I'm going to start with Miss Gina. Tell folks how they can continue to follow the awesome work that you do.
Well, the easiest way to find me is just to go to Facebook and search for Gina Roberts. I'm usually the first or the second on the list, and follow me there. And it's easy to hook up to all the other work I'm doing through there. So
Fantastic. And Derek, tell folks how they can continue to follow all that you're doing with Kids S.A.F.E.
Okay, you can find us on our website, kidsafefoundation.org. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
And TikTok.
Yeah, we're on TikTok. We're shadow banned on TikTok, but we're there.
And so I'm gonna change the course here just a little bit, and I'm sorry, but we have the lead in when we're out.
Yeah.
I want to take that time and give it to them to say, is there anything that we missed that we need to hit on the spot before you guys go?
No, the one thing that I'm really excited about, and one thing that's making me really excited about Kiwanis is that it's an international organization, and I'm reaching out to. So far, I mean, you guys, Cheryl joined, and so I've got members from 4 different states now, which to form a club is totally bizarre. But I want to reach out. I want 100 people in the club by the end of next year, by the next time we recharter. And so the whole idea is to get people that we can have carry this message. It's an unusual Kiwanis club. But it's just a glorious opportunity to do something that'll make a huge difference in the club. And it's a long range plan. It's not. We don't need to get this done tomorrow. We need to get this done.
Yesterday.
We need to just get this done.
Yes, absolutely. Gina, Thank you so much. I know you need to run. We've kept you a little long, but thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friends. And good to see you. And even Danny,
Even Dan. I know.
Dan.
Even Dan.
I mean, meeting you guys is one of the high points of the DC project. I mean, it's some of the best people I've ever hung out with in the world.
And I am the best luggage carrier in the world.
He's
met
got job security.
People around the world, and I can say that quite honestly. So
All right.
thank you guys. I'm going to go ahead and bail then.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you. Bye, Miss
See you,
Gina.
Gina.
All
And now you can
right.
say all the things you wanted to about me.
That's right. That's right. Now we'll talk behind your back.
So
Only
Derek,
good
do you have
things.
anything to add to that, or are you good?
Well,
No,
you
I
kind of
just
go ahead.
just gonna touch base and just thank Gina for her help and her support and the opportunity to be here. Just keep up the good work, you guys. I really love what you do, Cheryl, because I think you represent the women very well. And really the women are the future of what we're trying to do because you guys can communicate a little bit better than us.
Right.
So
Well, and we're just a different voice than people have heard for
yeah.
generation after
They
generation.
heard the old white man,
And
right?
I guess so. I mean, that's the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
And
It
so
is.
we step in and we start breaking those stereotypes and help people understand that this is a human issue,
Yeah.
and women's rights issue, a civil rights issue. And I just love that you are setting up the next generation for success in a way that we would not have without your efforts. So thank you so much, Derek. We so value you.
Thank you.
That really means a lot. Thank you guys.
Thank you. We'll see you later, okay?
Yeah,
Thank
see
you.
you
great
guys.
day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
What a great show that was. To be able to get two people on and let them talk about the experiences they're doing.
Amazing when the worlds converge, and everybody, does their best work together. It's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yes.
It's powerful.
Well, I said we gave them more time, so we don't really have much time. So you know what I'm going to do?
What are you going to do?
I'm going to pray for our nation.
Nice.
I'm going to pray for our leaders,
Nice.
all of them, even the ones I don't like,
Especially the ones you don't like.
especially the ones I don't like.
Nicely done.
And Cheryl, you're doing an amazing job. Thank
Well,
you very much.
thank you for that. And
And I
back
carry
at
good
you.
luggage.
He does. He has job security in the luggage carrying department as long as we can actually travel again. All the
Yes.
events that I would have been speaking at last year got canceled. So this year I'm hoping to hang on to as many of them as possible.
But thank you to our guests, Gina Roberts and Derek
Yes,
LeBlanc. Thank you very much for being on the show, and thank you for everything that you guys do. You're well appreciated.
absolutely. All right. With that, I think we will sign off. What do
Well,
you
you
think?
didn't say binge listen to your Hot Content, darling.
Well, now you did. And
Okay.
how do they do that? At gunfreedomradio.com, clicking the on demand tab, or watching us on YouTube, Gunstreamer, or the smartphone app called Ops Lens. So until next time, be good to each other.